Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shamika and this is Check the Rhymes. I am super excited that you're here. As always, thank you so much for tuning in. Y'all, I am so excited about today's show because this was actually not really planned. The universe just said, you need an interview? Here you go. I was backstage at a concert and I heard this voice and I was like, wait a minute, I know that voice. It was Bowlegged Lou, y'all. Yes, from Full Force. So of course I had to invite him to come on the show. So he is here in the building today. We're going to talk about all things Full Force. We're going to talk about, yes, that new House Party movie. And he's going to answer your fan submitted questions. So stay tuned because you don't want to miss today's show. It's going to be fun, funny, informative, all the things. Bowlegged Lou, welcome to Check the Rhymes. How are you?
I'm doing fantabulous. How are you doing?
I'm good. I am good. I'm glad I was in my intro. I actually was saying this was kind of an unexpected type of interview because I just ran into you backstage at a Will Downing concert.
Last week, actually.
Yeah, that's so crazy. And I knew that voice from across the room.
What did I say?
You
I
know
said,
what
Will
you said.
Downing just gave a great show. He just kicked some freaking ass.
And that's what I heard. And I was like, house party. But we'll get to that. So what have you been up to? Like, catch me up. What have you been up to?
Well, I know we're still performing and everything like that, still writing music. We're still doing our thing. It's 6 members of Full Force. Bowlegged Lou, myself, that's Bowlegged Lou. Then my brother Paul Anthony and B Fine, my 2 brothers that was in House Party. We played the guys chasing after Kid and played. Then you have my cousins also from Full Force, which is Baby Gerry, Shy and Curt. And we're Full Force. And everybody's still, we're still active, still doing our thing. Not as active as back in the day, but still active, still writing songs, still collecting checks. Thank you, Jesus. And it's 6 of us. So we split everything 6 ways from the beginning of our career. Even if one person writes the song, it's going to always say written and produced by Full Force. If 3 people write the song, written and produced by Full Force. It's all 6 of us. So all for one and one for all.
You guys came out in the earlier 80s, but I just wondered if you ever had the opportunity to come across like Kashif or Paul Lawrence, those producers, and what that was like.
Kashif and Paul Lawrence. I met Paul Lawrence before. Kashif was even a great experience, and I kept in contact with Paul Lawrence via social media behind the scenes. I got so much respect for him because I think they came out a little bit before us.
Yeah.
And Kashif, I'll never forget, man, when I met him, may he rest in peace. It was at a radio station in Philadelphia. Was it Deanna Williams? Yeah, it was Deanna Williams. It was her radio show. And we was on an interview together. And I'll never forget when I said, yeah, I just finished doing I told Kashif, I just finished doing an interview for Melissa Morgan. And he's saying, yeah, that's great. You did an interview for Melissa Morgan. I did an interview for Melissa Morgan's Unsung also. It's for TV One's Unsung.
Yeah.
And I must have did like 9 of those for different people. But I did one for Melissa Morgan. And then Kashif is there on the station with me and says, yeah, I was part of Melissa Morgan's too, but they should do an Unsung on me. He said that. Why wouldn't they do one on me? I was Teddy Riley before Teddy Riley came into business. That's what he said. And he said, I think I deserve an Unsung. And I looked at him and I said, Kashif, you're right. You definitely deserve an Unsung. Why is it? What happened? I don't know. I'm not getting the callbacks or whatever.
Oh, yeah.
But, producers didn't always get the credit that the producers now get.
Right.
And I always feel that Full Force was the ones to start that whole Well, you're going to know who produced this damn record, and you're going to know who wrote it. I can't think we started it because we used to say our names in so many people's records. And the way we promoted ourselves, written and produced by Full Force, written and produced by Full Force, even with the Lisa stuff, people would sometimes maybe like, man, these guys, but we had to do what we had to do so Full Force could get recognition also. When we came out with UTFO, first of all, and we produced Roxanne and all their hits. And then we came out with like right after Roxanne came out, Roxanne Shante came out with a song called Roxanne's Revenge.
Yes.
After she came out with Roxanne's Revenge, we came out with The Real Roxanne.
Oh, yeah.
We discovered her, and she was part of the Full Force family. And me and my brother B-Fine, we wrote the lyrics to The Real Roxanne. With the Lisa and Cult Jam, my brother B-Fine spearheaded I Wonder If I Take You Home, and Curt wrote Shotgun with that. And then we all contributed. We contributed a lot of the different background vocals, and we arranged a lot of the background vocals and stuff like that. But on her first album and her first single, being that we were such an integral part of it, as writers and producers, the first album and the first song was, the first single was called I Wonder If I Take You Home by Lisa and Cult Jam with Full Force. You're damn right. Because it's just the second album with Head to Toe and Lost in Motion, we kept our name off of it. But you're damn right, we're coming on that debut thing because it's just as much as our song as it is Lisa and Cult Jam. And if you see the first video of I Wonder If I Take You Home, you damn right, 6 muscle bound.
Yes, y'all are all up in that lady video.
Remember, it's Lisa and
I know.
Cult Jam. So we were all up in the 3 of their video. I'm telling you, nobody was doing it at that time. P. Diddy took it to a whole nother level when he started doing it. And the same thing with Teddy Riley, Yup, and all of that stuff. We would say Full Force Get Busy one time in some of the songs. I'll never forget when, and we did it in James Brown songs, Shell Pepsi Riley. So it wasn't us trying to take over anybody. We just wanted to put our stamp on it initially, and so people will know. That's when I think a lot of people started paying attention to the writer and producer, because back in Kashif days, they really didn't. And even Paul Lawrence, you had to look at the credits and all of that stuff. But I'll never forget when we was getting ready to work with Jasmine Guy on her single, which was on her album. We did like 3 songs on her album, and one of the songs, Try Me, was a top 20 hit for Jasmine Guy. I'll never forget, before we started working with her in the studio, Kadeem Hardison comes to me and says, yeah, Lou, just letting you know, Kadeem Hardison, who was in a different world with Jasmine Guy, he says, just letting you know, man, I told Jasmine, when y'all get work with us, I said, Jasmine, don't you let them say their names on your record. Don't you dare let them say Full Force Get Busy one time on your song.
So I wanted to just kind of go through some of these behind the scenes stories with people that you worked with. So you mentioned earlier about the tour with Kurtis Blow and New Edition. What happened? Give us the tea. I say us, that like there's a whole group of people here, but it's me. So give me the tea.
I don't think I've ever told this story, but can you curse on this show?
Of course.
Okay, this was in the past though, but we was on the road with Kurtis. I think that might have been our first plane ride as well. Me, Paul Anthony, and Baby Gerry. Okay, Baby Gerry was on keyboards. Me and Paul did the background vocals. Kurtis invited us out on tour. The tour was Rick James, Mary Jane Girls, Midnight Star, Kurtis Blow, and New Edition, who was supposed to be the opening act. Who was the opening act for a bunch of shows? And Kurtis would come on, Kurtis Blow and us would come on right after New Edition, but they would open up until those young whippersnappers put out a song called Candy Girl. And on the tour, the promoter's like, okay, we got to switch it up. And so I don't know where we was, but we was at a show with us and Curtis. Now, remember, we're new jacks to the thing because the three of us, we're here on the road. I'm like, wow, can't believe this, you know?
Yeah.
And, you know, we even met New Edition. My brother Paul met Ralph Tresvant. There's a picture that I post every year with Paul talking to Ralph, and Ralph is like trying to get in the door of where his compadres are. He was knocking on the door, talking to this big, muscular Jerry curl dude who he don't know who the hell it is, and he's trying to get into. I got the perfect picture, and I tell about that story. But so what happens that the promoter came backstage and said, Curtis, you're gonna have to open up, and he's like, what?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, we have to put New Edition after you because their song is hot right now, Candy Girl, and we can't put them in the beginning. You got to come out first, and then New Edition. And he was so upset, man. What? They don't got no respect for me. They better have respect for me. I've been in this game for such and such a time. Oh, Curtis, I hope you don't. I hope Curtis Blow don't listen to this because he's a minister now. But he is. But he said, but he told us, he gave us direct orders. He said, listen, they're not giving me my respect. So what we're gonna do, and he's talking to the whole band, including us. I'm saying, now we love New Edition. We love New Edition. I mean, we don't what we got to do what you want to do, Kurt. But we had to. Kurt said, when we go, we're gonna go on first, all right. But when we walk out and we pass their dressing room, first of all, we're gonna do it right from here. We're all gonna go, punk motherfuckers from Boston, punk motherfuckers from Boston, punk motherfuckers
Oh
from
God.
Boston.
No.
I said, I said, I said to Jerry and Paul, I said, wait a minute, we don't want to say that. We love New Edition. I didn't say it to Curtis, but he told everybody in the band, and everybody better do that. So we had to do that. I'm like crazy, but we didn't want to do it because we love a New Edition. Those are my little brothers, and we're friends to this day. They put UTFO on their tours, one of the biggest tours ever with them and UTFO. So we love New Edition to this day. But back then in our beginnings, man, and now Curtis, but we walking out our dressing room, and I can't believe me, Paul, and Jerry's like, because Curtis Blow was looking at everybody to make sure they said it. And we said it, and it felt so weird. I'm like, oh, but we love New Edition.
Oh no! Did you apologize to them years later?
I don't know. Listen. I don't even know if they heard. Maybe they did, but I don't know. I didn't even want to bring it up, but you know, I remember. You know who I remember telling this story to the director. I forgot the brother's name that actually directed the New Edition miniseries. Goes, man, I wish I would have knew about that, man. That is hilarious. I would have put that in there, man.
Oh my gosh. I love behind the scenes stories like that because it's like us in the audience, we would have never known like what was going on back there and make y'all walk out like that.
This looked crazy. Yeah, man.
So I have to know because I'm a huge Britney Spears fan, right? So I want to know what she was like when you worked with her. Because she was what, 17 maybe?
17 going on 18.
Yeah.
In fact, we celebrated her 18th birthday right in our basement studio with a cake and everything. And we was brought on her project right from the very beginning to like do songs on her and to get her ready. And I gotta let people know there's a song called Love the Hurt Away that we wrote and produced on Britney. And if you go, it's on YouTube, Love the Hurt Away, Britney Spears, written and produced by Full Force. It is the best. When I say the best, it's the best vocals you will ever hear her sing, ever. She did 1 million songs. Yeah. That song was the best vocal produced song on Britney's voice ever. When we first got Britney's demo tape, she sounded a little bit like Toni Braxton to us, for real. And I'm like, man, it sounds like Toni Braxton somewhat.
Toni Braxton who?
Toni Braxton. I'm telling you the truth. Go and she was singing it in low. I'm like, is this Tony Braxton? But go listen to Love the Hurt Away. You'll hear Britney singing her ass off, because I always give props to my brother Paul Anthony, is that he's like the main vocal producer, and
Hmm.
he'll make somebody who sounds like halfway sound like really crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's just got that magic with their vocals. And when she was in the studio with us, she was a real sweetheart. Um, we took her to her first ever Jamaican restaurant. She ate roti for the first time,
Oh, wow.
jerk chicken, all of that stuff. She would go, "Oh my God, what is this?" You know? And we just had a blast with her. And she had fun with us too. We got a autograph picture. She said to my guys in full force, "We're gonna miss you." And this before her first album came out.
Uh-huh.
And she was just a sweetheart. And at that time also, she started, as we was working with her, she was dating Justin Timberlake at that time, because we
Hmm.
worked with NSYNC as well.
Right.
And Justin used to call over to our studio to talk to Britney and vice versa and all of that stuff.
Mhm.
But she was great. We ordered a cake and happy birthday, Britney. We was right there for us. We just didn't know the other Britney, because when she was with us, she didn't smoke cigarettes or nothing like that.
Right.
So that's why
Yeah.
her voice was so dope with us. And if you hear that song, Love the Hurt Away, it's on
Mhm.
YouTube.
And so what do you think about her now? Like I look at her now, I mean, she's what, 40 and posting naked pictures and everything else online now. What do you think about this Britney?
She is.
Yes, all the time. We have seen everything Britney on
You
Instagram
talking about now or some years ago?
now, like every day almost.
Now, when you mean naked pictures, what do you mean? Like scantily clad pictures?
Like she don't have no clothes on, laying on the beach or in the shower or standing in front of her favorite door, like anywhere and everywhere. Like I get it, she's like, I'm independent now, but like I just wonder like what you think about it.
Wow, really? I got it. Now, you know what? I got to go. Is it on her Instagram?
Yeah, I think some of the stuff, I don't know if they made her take it down, but yeah, it was concerning because it was like a lot all the time. But then I thought, well, if I had a body like that, I'd probably show it too, maybe.
I got to go check it out. I didn't know. I didn't know she was doing that now. I thought she was doing that stuff when she, maybe some years ago, whatever like that. I didn't know. But my thing is this: to each their own. I can't be judgmental.
Hmm.
So I'm like, to each their own. And, you know,
Yeah.
you tell your young kids or whatever, don't go like that or don't do that or blah, blah, blah. But I can only say to each their own.
Yeah. What about I loved me some Samantha Fox. What was that like working with her?
She's just she's just great. And that's how Naughty Girl, when we was introduced to Samantha Fox, because we flew out to England to do, some of her records, and they call her the page 3 girl, because on page 3 they would show pictures of Samantha Fox with her busts naked.
Oh.
And that's how she got her claim to fame before her music.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when her music came out, then I think more respect started being paid to her. But we wrote the song Naughty Girls Need Love Too, because we looked at her as a naughty girl. We wrote
Mm-hmm.
the song I Want to Have Some Fun. I remember because I wrote the hook and I wrote some of the lyrics with Baby Gerry. But I called up the president of the record company and I said, Barry, it was like past midnight. I said, Barry, I got a great song for Samantha Fox. Listen to this hook. I want to have some fun. I
Mm-hmm.
want to have some fun. Move my body all night long. Move my
Yeah.
body
I
all
love
night
that
long.
song.
I want to have some fun. I was saying that to him, and he said, Lou, listen, call me tomorrow morning. That hook is fantastic, but don't you ever fucking call me after midnight again. And he hung up. But we went there, and one thing about Jive Records is Jive Records. That's the name of the company. And one thing about them, they we didn't even have to, being that we were singing a lot of the backgrounds with Samantha Fox on both. We did more songs, but I Want to Have Some Fun and Naughty Girls Need Love Too was big smash platinum success records. And we're singing all over that in the harmonies and the backgrounds, full force. But we never had to ask to be in the video. They found it an honor and for us to be in the video with her. They wanted that.
Yeah.
And we were in both videos with her, and they asked us to be in the video. And we were so proud of that. And we always give props to Jive Records for that. No, we want y'all in the video with that. We're in the video with her. And there we were, you know, which was dope. You know, talking about being in the videos, another behind the scenes thing. I've never brought this up before, but but I'll never forget. And I'm going to say his name too. Oh God,
that's okay.
I know it's okay for you. This is good for you guys. Check the rhyme. Anyway, so here's the deal. With Lisa, we'll take Lisa and Coach Jam. So not only were we her production company, you know what I mean? Wrote and produced everything she did, but we was also her co-managers. Steve Salem, may he rest in peace, was the other part of the co-management team. And we did the same thing with UTFO, Cheryl Pepsi Riley. And then we did this, and Real Roxanne and Hitman Howie T. And then we did this girl group, just us managing them with another set of managers called Ex-Girlfriend. I don't know if you heard of them. But they had a top 10 record called Why Can't You Come Home, which we wrote and produced. And those girls was crazy dope. They were they're the best female singing group I've ever seen to combine singing and choreography together. Nobody could touch them. So that's what I always talk about Beyonce. I said, Beyonce to me is number one when it comes to real singing. I don't know how people could say, she can't sing. No, she can sing. Right? Listen to the song Listen, you know, that was taken from the Dreamgirls soundtrack. You ever heard that one?
Oh yeah, I love that song.
She kills that song. She's a real singer. So her being a real singer combined with her choreography and her steps, there's no female artist in the history that could top her. The only one to come close, to me, my opinion, Tina Turner. But the vocal stuff, Beyonce, and I don't know why people hate on her, she is a legend, and she is number one to me when it comes to female real singing and choreography into one. She's so dope. My brother Paul just walked in. We're gonna show his face in a cameo on this.
I had a crush on Paul.
You had a crush on Paul? Okay. So we're gonna I'm gonna tell your husband now.
You mind your business.
So I'm gonna get him to show his face here. But we used to say, Paul, how many ladies would like to see Paul Anthony take it off? And it would be bedlam. Nobody did this before. Full Force did. Right. And Paul would then take off his shirt. You know, he would take off his shirt and everything. So he takes off his shirt, and you know, you just see the top, and everybody's going crazy, right?
Yeah.
I'll send it to her. So what happened is that then I would go, wait a minute. Wasn't that some cheap shit, y'all? And the girls would agree. They didn't know where I was going with this.
Right.
Yeah. I said, everybody say cheap shit, cheap shit, cheap shit. And the women would go crazy. And I guess some of the men probably said cheap shit too, saying, yeah, good, it was cheap shit.
Right.
Then I said, all right, ladies, Paul Anthony's got to finish the job, right? Yeah.
I'm getting excited now. Like, I wish I was at the show.
So then I go, all right, ladies, all the ladies in the place. All the ladies say, pull it down, 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 pull it down. They would go crazy. And then I said, all right, Paul, you got to pull it down. Never in the history of R&B music, hip hop music, pop music, that any act ever has done this. And then the band, my brother B-Fon, who led the way with the drums, Baby Gerry on keyboard, Shy on bass, Curt on lead guitar. I'm off to the side, and they would lower down the music in dramatic fashion. I'm gonna send you the video. It's on YouTube. In dramatic fashion. Dun, 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 dun. And then Paul went to the mic, and he'd go, man, y'all I ain't gonna do that. And then he changed his mind, and then the music would go down, and then he started, because Paul had on like a lot of clothes after that. He had belts and shit.
Of course.
Okay. But I'm doing an interview, Paul. They can't show it now. But I want them to see your face though, because I told them you walked in, and so I'm talking about you now.
Yeah, Paul.
Okay, hold on for 1 second. Let me look before Paul comes. So listen, when he pulls it, when the music would play, he pulls it, and Paul sometimes will wear like spandex shit and all of that stuff. And listen, we didn't give a shit what we played. He wore makeup. He didn't give a damn because nobody fucked with us.
Right.
I remember Fat Man Scoop saying to me, "Yo, man, y'all had the Jerry curls and makeup, but not even the hardest hip hop dude would step to y'all." You know what I mean? Then Paul pulls it down. I remember him wearing some yellow spandex, and the place went crazy. Nobody ever did that in music before. He would wear bikini, he would wear G-strings, different colors. He'd put fucking rhinestones on the shit. It was so crazy. I even got into act for like maybe 4 shows when I would do it, and I'd have electrical lights on my shit. You know what I mean? And then one time my balls got burnt, and I never did it again.
Oh my God.
So then what Paul would do, he would start flexing and posing and gyrating, and the women would go crazy. And then he would go, "Oh man, y'all some nasty motherfuckers. Listen, we're getting out here. But if anybody wants to help me out with this loneliness at the hotel we're staying at," and he give the address of the damn hotel.
My goodness.
Y'all can see me back. And man, the hotel, Paul, here, come here. The hotel used to be jam-cracked. And Paul, we used to call Paul Rabbit on the road. After the night would be over, like you want to know behind the scenes, if we saw a female with a headband, because Paul was the king of the headbands.
Right.
Okay, that's who Paul was with. Sometimes, listen, sometimes there'd be 2 girls with the headband. Oh, her and
Paul.
We're giving y'all a bonus.
What's going on, y'all?
Hey, Paul. Look, my voice cracking. Like,
Lord,
hey.
Lord, now I'm just a nice, quiet guy that just reads fables. That's all.
Yeah, right.
Back then it was all about sounds and expressions and a body count. But it's okay. It's okay. It's all right. It was a good time. But nice to meet y'all. You know, and I'm sure Lou covered from soup to nuts on the history of Full Force.
Check the line before the show.
Yeah. Oh, well, good. That's a nice title. Well, look, the book is still being written. We ain't done. You know,
yeah,
we're feeding the energy, we're feeding the purpose, we're feeding the gifts, we're feeding the legendary. So, you know, once again, it's nice to see you.
Okay. Hey, listen, Paul Anthony, also tell them about your new solo single called Ready to Learn Love.
Yeah. So I got a solo single. It's an old Full Force hit, and I decided to put it out. It's a wonderful thing. Lou's going to send you the video. I'm going to send it to you.
Actually, I just saw it because it's so the timing is crazy. I got it in an email. I don't even know who sent it to me, but I got it and I listened to it and I love the song.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I purposely did the live thing because I want people to come to the show. So I'm glad you got it.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Okay, good. That's how it works.
She's a very dear. I went to see Will Downing in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Yeah.
And went backstage. And she's a good friend of Will Downing.
Oh, okay.
And she went to Will Downing and said, "Do you think we would do an interview?" I said, "You better go over there and ask him."
Wow.
And
she's good people. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah, so you'll have to come on the show, you know, and chat with me at some point.
Oh, absolutely. I'll get your number from Lou. We'll do that, okay?
Okay, sounds good.
Things, all right?
Okay. So one last thing before he leaves. There's also a song of ours, because you're going through our different songs.
Yes.
Remember the song Temporary Love Thing?
Yes, of course.
Which was a top 15 hit. And Paul spearheaded that song also. Paul, tell them, what does that song mean, Temporary Love Thing?
Well, you know, I mean, I think it's self-explanatory, you know.
Like the girls leaving the hotel with the thing on their head.
Something like that, you know. It's a phrase, but I'm only human, and oh, I get so lonely. Passion starts to unfold. So if you can't be with the one you love, they say you got to love the one you're with. But am I moving too fast? Just the same, my baby, what's your name? I think I want to know you, 'cause darling, I just can't wait no more. Oh, ain't nothing wrong with a temporary love thing. In one night, I can love you forever. Oh, now isn't that a beautiful line? I said, there's nothing wrong with temporary. In one night, I can love you forever.
And that's the that is a beautiful line.
And more often than not, the women be like, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. See, I had to think about it like
So my job is just spread as much love as wide as I can. Hold on.
So just to let everybody out there know too, besides the music, there's serious sides to us.
Yes.
Like I'm my mother's primary caregiver. She's 86 years old. That's what took me so long to come on here to tape with you, because we was dealing with her. Me and my brother B Fine, because we all lived in the same area. And my brother B Fine, me and him gave my mother a shower because she can't give her own self shower anymore. We clean her up. We take her to the toilet and we clean her up. Just like she used to clean our behinds, we clean her behinds. We get her out of the bed. She'll get on her walker. Same thing with the chair. So we take care of her. So my brothers, like it takes a village.
Yes.
And that's why it's always good, when you have a caregiver, because it definitely changed my life. I've been doing this for my mother, the primary caregiver, for maybe 7 years. And I do have a village though. Like my brothers will pitch in when it comes to physical therapy. I said, B, let's give mom a shower. He'll come over. Paul just come over. He'll come over periodically. Like he just came over just to see my mother, just to see her face. And he walked back there and he saw that she was asleep. And before he left, he said, Paul, Lou, call me when mom is awake. Because my mother's favorite slogan, whenever we take her to the doctors or whenever we introduce her to somebody, her favorite slogan is, I have 3 wonderful sons. So even though I'm her primary caregiver and through the night, she has 3 wonderful sons. And the sons is myself, Paul Anthony, and B Fine, because we're blood brothers. So it's a great thing, to be caregiver as well. I mean, last year, I won a Caregiver of the Year award from this company called Caregiver Safe Place in Los Angeles. And I didn't really want to accept it because I figure, because they follow my story and somebody nominated me, a friend of mine's nominated me, but I figured that there's so many caregivers in the world, why am I Caregiver of the Year award? And they said, listen, you're going to get Caregiver of the Year award, and we have this other guy that's getting Community Caregiver of the Year. And it sounds like you don't want to accept our award, but guess what? You have no choice, Lou. We're flying your ass out on the plane, we're putting you up, and we're giving you that award. And Caregiver Safe Place, which you could find online, is ran by Carletta Cole, which she was a caregiver to her beloved mother, and she's running that whole thing. So I accepted the award, but I share it with other people, like my brothers, like Carletta, like Tisha Campbell, like Blair Underwood, great Johnny Gill, who caregive also for their parents. My friend Bernadette Stannis, who played Thelma, and my brothers, and my daughter, and my cousin Taisha, and my friend Pam Beck and Regina Hall, because they've all come in and filled in and would help out sometimes with my mom. So, if you have a loved one in there, definitely take time to support whoever's doing the caregiving, because a lot of caregivers don't get support,
Yeah, I did an article for parade.com, I think it was November, about caregivers. I spoke with 2 caregivers that one cares for her grandmother and another one cares for her father, and they both have, I think they might have both had dementia, and like just hearing like everything they deal with. And so then I said, what do you do for you though? What do you do for self-care? And one said she just has to, even if it's 10 minutes, she just goes outside and just walks for a little bit and then comes like to ground herself and then come back. Or she just sets aside some time to write in her journal, or, she just has to make some time for her so she doesn't get so stressed out and whatever. But she's like, you have to have a village, a community to help. And so I'd never really thought about any of that. And well, I took care of my mom for a week after her back surgery. And I was like, whew, this is a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah. Speaking of your health challenge, and I don't want to pronounce it wrong, so I'll let you pronounce it, because I wanted to talk about your, is it called Hope with a Vision?
And I have this disease called retinitis pigmentosa. It leads to blindness. I still stay positive and vigilant, and I still go to my treatments,
Mm-hmm.
and I I want to see forever. Right now, I have no peripheral vision whatsoever. None from the side,
Mm-hmm.
none up top. I can't. I got to turn to see. Otherwise, I got none of that stuff.
Right.
And as I'm looking, I got central vision, but the central vision is like looking through a telescope.
Oh,
That's
okay.
that's my central vision. So I stay in my positivity, and I still go to my treatments. Dr. Bass, who diagnosed me,
Mm-hmm.
she's great. But my alternative doctors, Dr. Rosenfarb, who does acupuncture, he does the oxygen chamber, which is great for my eyes because oxygen sucks up the eyes really retain a lot of oxygen. So I'm in the oxygen
Yeah.
chamber every day. When I see him for a 2 week stint, and then I have this other doctor called Dr. Muhammad in London, England. So
Mm-hmm.
I stay proactive just to keep my vision alive. And as long as I'm still seeing central until they find a cure for this, So
Right.
I just stay positive and influential. And I have and people like Wonder Mike from Sugar Hill Gang,
Mm-hmm.
he's visually impaired. Um,
Oh.
David Snowden, not David Snowden, David Pick Conley from the group Surface. Remember the group Surface?
Yes, absolutely.
Only you can make me happy. So the founding member is David Pick Conley, and he lost his eyesight, I would say maybe 5 years ago. The same
Hmm.
disease I have, but his was called rapathy, but it's sort of like retinitis pigmentosa. He lost his sight, and I remember when I was my sight, I was like, man, I got to talk to somebody that has this like me. And
Yeah.
my friend Kevin Woodley said, yo, Lou, call David Pitt Conley, man. Talk to him. I'm like, I'm not going to talk to him about this. He said, no, no, no. He's an open book. And I called him, man. And David Pitt Conley is one of my inspirations because he'll talk to me about the eyes. He
Mm-hmm.
says, so listen, Lou, you just got central vision right now, right? Yeah. So, I mean, don't be afraid, man. You get yourself a braille machine just to prepare. You never know. I mean,
Yeah.
stay
Yeah.
positive, but you just never know. And he's nothing but inspirational,
Oh, I love
David
that.
Pickholm. And so I have this foundation called organization called Hope with a Vision,
Mm-hmm.
which is Vizion, and we do a lot of things for people with impaired vision. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's a young lady named Cheryl Reeves that I will be taking. She has retinitis pigmentosa. She has no sight, but I always say you can see with your heart. She's never been to a concert in her life, even when
Oh,
she could see. And I'm
yeah.
going to be taking her. She's going to be going to her first concert, which is a full force concert, the House Party
Oh,
Pajama Jammy
yeah.
Jam.
Speaking of, well, not really speaking of a concert, but I think we briefly mentioned it earlier about James Brown. I had, before I jump to the fan questions, I have to ask about James Brown because the video he has on those glasses, and he had the same glasses on in one of my favorite interviews that he did. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Of course, I know what you're talking about, and I know what
I
video you're
swear,
talking
when I'm
about.
in a bad mood, I go watch that interview and it changes my whole day.
Dear God, please forgive her. And Mr. Brown,
I'm
please
sorry, Mr.
forgive her
Brown.
also. Please, please forgive her. Um,
What was
working.
Mr. Brown like? I know you couldn't call him James, but what was Mr. Brown like? And I want behind the scenes tea. Don't give me that canned answer.
Okay. Oh my God. He's getting we did a A&E biography, a A&E documentary on him. We were one of the people that did it. Questlove and Mick Jagger is actually producing it, and
Uh-huh.
we did it for Mr. Brown. And he's getting inducted into the Atlantic City Walk of Fame in May, I think.
Uh-huh.
And his daughter Deanna Brown will
Yeah.
be there to speak, and also they invited me to speak as well because Full Force with James Brown's last two top five records was written and produced by Full Force, which is
Yes.
called I'm Real and Static.
Yeah.
And Static was number 2 on the Billboard charts. No, I'm Real was number 2 on the Billboard charts. Static was number 5. His last two top 10 records. Well, working with Mr. Brown was great. It was an honor. It was interesting because when we when we got to work with Mr. Brown, that's when talk about timing. That's when he was getting in trouble with the law.
Yeah. Yeah.
During the time we was working with him. In fact, we would anytime we'd see Eddie Murphy, he'd go, full force fucked up James Brown. That's why James Brown is crazy. Full force messed up James Brown. That's why he's crazy. We know he's in the studio with y'all. Full force. Eddie Murphy would blame us. But what happened is that when we went to work with Mr. Brown, because hip hop is influenced heavily by Mr. Brown.
Yeah.
So when we celebrate the 50th anniversary of hip hop, you better celebrate that with Mr. Brown, because he's a definitely big contributor to that.
Yes.
Okay. Because all the rappers, when we was on tour, we used to play James Brown like all the time. And all the rappers sampled Mr. Brown and all of that stuff. So when they asked us if we could produce an entire James Brown album, I'm like, we were so excited. They are you kidding? I remember I got the call and I went and told my brothers and my cousins, and they were so excited. I remember Shy said jumping into my arms. I said, yo, can you believe we're gonna work with James Brown? So then I started hearing rumors. Yeah, but he's mean, boy. He's mean to his own people and mean to his own band and mean to this. So I started getting just a little nervous. I said, you know what? Let me call somebody that worked with James Brown, because I was calling him James Brown, and let me get some type of insight. So I said, let me call Dan Hartman. For those of you who do not know who Dan Hartman is, Dan Hartman, he's an artist himself. He did the song called Relight My Fire and some other disco song, but he wrote and produced Living in America for James Brown, which was Mr. Brown's first Grammy Award winner.
I'm fighting myself right now not to say like the way James said it on that interview. It's like right here in my throat wanting to come out. But I'm like, I'm sorry, Mr. Brown. I'm sorry. I told you I don't have good sense.
That was so sad to watch to me, because we're working with him at the same time. I'm like, oh, Mr. Brown. So when I called up Dan Hartman, who did Living in America. I said, hey, Dan, this is Bowlegged Lou from Full Force. We're getting ready to work on a James Brown album. I just want to know, how is he like? We heard stories. Can you enlighten me about working with James Brown? He goes, well, first thing, you don't call him James. You call him Mr. Brown. I'm like, okay, got it. Then he said to me, now listen, he might be a little erratic sometimes, but you're gonna have to excuse that. It's just certain things. Just so be on the lookout. That's just certain things, So just be on the lookout. And then he told me this story once. He said, now if his wife is in the studio with y'all, don't look at her. He said, don't look at her. Don't look at her. Don't look at her. Don't look at her.
Wow.
So he goes, because one time we was doing a session, and Mr. Brown stopped the music. He said, Dan. Yes, Mr. Brown. I saw you looking at my wife.
Oh my gosh.
Why are you looking at my wife, Dan? Well, no, Mr. Brown, I wasn't looking at your wife, Dan. I saw you looking at my wife. Why are you looking at my wife? Mr. Brown, I wasn't looking at your wife. He said, Lou, I had to convince him for about a good 15 minutes that I wasn't looking at his wife. Plus, Lou, look, I'm gay. So why would I want to be looking at his wife? So what am I going to be looking at his wife? When he said that, I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, oh shit, Dan Hartman's gay?
I was about to say that too. Like, really, I hope everybody else knew.
So, but I have nothing against gay people, but I was just kind of surprised. I'm like, wow, I would have never known, but I have nothing against gay people, but that's what he told me. So a lot of different crazy things in the studio. What happens sometimes, some of Mr. Brown's quotes, I'll never forget. And remember, this is when he was going through something, you know what I mean? So sometimes you got to be sympathetic,
right?
Even when they're doing interviews, and they got arrested or whatever, but
I'm sorry.
You are so mean. And I'll never forget, Reverend Al Sharpton, who's really close to Mr. Brown, and all of us called him Mr. Brown, all of us. You know, I remember the first day he was coming to do a session with us, and he walked off. He was coming through the elevator, and they said, "Yeah, James Brown is coming." And we said, "Paul, go greet him. Greet him at the elevator." And we sent Paul to go greet him. And Paul, "Hey, Mr. Brown, how you doing?" Mr. Brown had on this ascot, like kerchief around his neck. He had on like sort of a pimp hat kind of. He had on these patent leather boots, you know, a mask ascot. I mean, he was total legend. And Paul brought him in the studio with us because we were ready to work with him the first day. And he said, so what happened is that this guy that was his valet or whatever took off his coat. It was like a mink coat or something.
Oh, was it was the guy with him, was his name Gorgeous George? Yeah, you may not know.
I don't know if it was Gorgeous George, but I know his hair was sort of like Mr. Brown's, kind of, you know.
Oh yeah, okay. It may have been the other guy, but what was his name? Danny? Uncle Danny?
No, Danny was the one that would go, Mr. Dynamite. Mr.
Oh yeah, okay, that was him. So I think Gorgeous George might have been working with him too.
That might have been him. We just didn't know his name, but I know he'd always take off his coat and he'd always comb Mr. Brown's hair. Every single session, he'd comb it and then he'd chill and Mr. Brown would walk in the studio. So that time he did come into the studio, but he said, "Gentlemen, I just want you to know that I love you. I love you like my sons. You know, my favorite song, Alice, I Want You Just For Me. I'm the one that told the studio, yeah, get me full force. And it's gonna be great. It's gonna be great working with y'all." Okay.
I love
Then
that.
he said, "All right, so I'll see you tomorrow." And in my mind, I'm like, "Wait a minute, we were ready to work today." But he said, "No, I'll see you tomorrow." I said, "But Mr. Brown," "No, tomorrow." And it was tomorrow. Who are we going to argue with Mr. Brown? So one time, Reverend Al Sharpton came to one of the sessions, and he would come there frequently. And I'm like, "Oh boy, it's going to be a long wait now when Mr. Sharpton is in there." And Al Sharpton came there. Mr. Brown, he's wearing red shades at this session, and he's sitting down, and he tells Al Sharpton, because Al Sharpton, who always called him Mr. Brown as well. "So, Mr. Brown, how you feeling?" "Reverend, I'm wearing red shades, but I'm seeing blue." Okay, Mr. Brown. Just don't worry, everything will be okay. Those used to be some of those anecdotes that he would say. I remember one time we was taking pictures, Full Force and Mr. Brown. Hundreds of photographers, not hundreds, but maybe 40 photographers in the recording studio. And they're snapping pictures, snapping away, snapping, taking pictures. I said, "Mr. Brown, I'll send you a picture of us and him in that, and you'll always know what happened in that session." And as they're taking pictures, the cameras stopped, you know. Okay, they were getting ready to wrap it up. After they stopped flashing the pictures, I swear, Mr. Brown went into a full-blown split. Woof! Then he came right up. He split so hard you could hear the ground go boom. And he glided right back up. And then the photographer was like, Mr. Brown, do it again, man, do it again." He goes, "No, you should have took the picture when I did it." Then he walked away.
Right. If you was ready, you would have had the picture.
You should have took the picture when I did it. Then he walked away. He walked. And those used to be some of the things that used to go on. Oh my God. But
I would have loved him.
But we loved working with Mr. Brown. Sometimes things was a little slow, but we had all the patience in the world because no matter what he was going through, he's a legend. And we give that respect. Not once did we tell any, man, I'm telling you some stuff, but not once did we tell during that time to any of the press, any of those behind the scenes stories. You know, we always kept them ourselves and worked with him. And I'll never forget the first day we was working with him, and it was a song called "Time to Get Busy." And he's in the booth dancing. And I'm like, "Yo, Curt, that's James Brown." And we're working with James Brown.
Yeah.
It blew us away. But it was great working with him. Just like working with Patti LaBelle and so many other acts, you know. It was Cheryl Pepsi Riley, who we wrote and produced Thanks for My Child for, which was a #1 record.
Mm-hmm.
And until that damn Karen White and Superwoman came and bumped it out of the #1 spot, shit.
A damn Karen.
And I love Karen White. I always tell her that. But yeah.
So I guess we can segue into the fan questions, since you gave me some stories about James Brown, and I thank you for that. I'm sorry, Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown, don't you forget it.
Yes, I wish I could have.
Erase that damn news clip video out of your mind with him.
I'm sorry, but I love that one. And I love, let me tell you this really quick. I love when he was on Soul Train and he kept asking Don Cornelius if the, like, who owns it? He's like, I do.
Right.
No, who owns it?
What? You ever heard of Maceo Parker?
Of course.
He played the saxophone with Mr. Brown.
And he's inducted into the North Carolina Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow. Really? Maceo,
and then you mentioned Bernard Edwards earlier. We just inducted him this past October.
Wow, Maceo, if you got his number, get it for me. I love Maceo. When I said I wanted Mr. Brown, we're gonna bring me. He said, all right, you could bring him, but I don't want to be here. Yeah, that's what he said that time. So we made sure Maceo was by himself. And then Maceo told us, well, I'll tell you why, you probably don't want me around. And, he started telling us certain stories, One story was Mr. Brown called him up late at night. Maceo! Woke him up. Yeah, Mr. Brown. Maceo, all them people out there, they were screaming and clapping for me. Why do you think? Why were they doing it? Well, Mr. Brown, because you're James Brown, soul brother #1. You're a legend, Mr. Brown. And that's why they was doing that. Yeah, I know that, Maceo, but why were they screaming and clapping for me?
I would have hung up.
Yeah, but he didn't hang up. Well, Mr. Brown, but those some of the stories Maceo used to tell us. It's so crazy. But we love Mr. Brown, and we'll always love him and always have a lot of respect for him as well. He's a legend, man.
He is.
His last two top 5 records written and produced by Full Force. What the hell?
Right. Okay, fan question time. So the first question, somebody wanted to know, of course you have to know this is coming. They wanted to know what your views are on the new House Party. And then I guess there's been several spinoffs, but I haven't really paid much attention to that since House Party 2. There's been a lot of spinoffs.
It has some funny parts in it. I love the LeBron James hologram when he talks about his hairline and stuff like that. I thought that was hilarious, poking fun of himself. But the only thing, I just wouldn't have called the movie House Party, because they did a movie of their own, and I got to give them props to that. They did it with their own flavor.
Right.
No matter what anybody thought about it. And I think if they didn't call it House Party, it wouldn't have gotten a lot of bad reviews on it. Because once you call something that, then they're going to look up to you to measure it, to measure up to it. Yeah. And that's what they did with House Party. They could have called it The Last Party or LeBron's Party or The First Party or Party. I think it would achieve better. But by them calling it House Party, a lot of people was out for them. And I saw some vicious reviews on it. And I can't, because the only thing that reminded me of House Party was Kid and Play did a cameo, which was like for 3 seconds. If you blink, you miss them.
Right.
I think if you're going to have them as a cameo, especially Kid and Play, then make it a special cameo, even out of respect. But even for the movie, make it a special cameo, because all the other cameos that was in the movie, they had talking lines and everything. Kid and Play was the only cameo with no lines,
That's weird.
Yeah, that's very weird. So that's the only way you'd remember House Party. Then I think the guys, the Jacob Lattimore and the guy Cole, they did the Kid and Play kick step in one of the dance sequence. So that reminds. Then I think they showed on the screen or somebody watching TV of the original House Party, and I think they showed Martin Lawrence.
Yeah. And
just one more thing, that was the only thing that you could kind of remind you of House Party, was when Rotimi, he's the actor, he plays also in Power, but I guess he played my part as a bully. And in the movie, he literally says the line that I created. And it just sounded weird hearing that on a movie theater, my line being said by somebody else.
Yeah.
But he didn't say, I'm gonna kick your fucking ass. He said, I'm gonna beat your fucking ass. And that was kind of weird. I mean,
Yeah.
but listen, man, I give all of them E for effort. But I got to tell you that we never knew when we did the original House Party that it was going to be an iconic movie that it was. And 33 years later is crazy. And when I saw Rotimi doing an interview with DC Youngfly, who I love DC Youngfly, and I thought he did great in the movie also.
Mm-hmm.
When Rotimi was talking to the interviewer saying, yeah, man, I even had to rehearse, over and over that iconic line that was said in the movie. And in my mind, I'm like, wow. So that line must have really been iconic, huh? I guess.
I told you that the other day. I said that's how I knew it was you when you walked in the room. I was like, I know that iconic line.
Yeah. So
someone wanted to know, how did your movie roles impact your music career?
well, I got to tell you, when our music roles impacting our music career, Crush Groove came out. People was going, oh, I remember when they did the premiere of Crush Groove, and I think it was Curtis Blow, when my brothers beat up Blair Underwood and beat up Run from Run DMC, and Curtis Blow yelling out in the back, "Full Force, get busy one time." That's when our record Alice. That's us saying "Full Force, get busy one time."
Yeah.
But I think like we'll take the song "Ain't My Type of Hype." We did two songs that was in the movie. One song called House Party. Oh yes, the family is in the house, and we did that with the whole Full Force family on that song. That's on the soundtrack. And then we did Ain't My Type of Hype.
Yeah.
So Ain't My Type of Hype, that song, because of House Party, is our biggest, most memorable, successful song from our Full Force musical artist career.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for House Party, Ain't My Type of Hype would not be classic as the way it is. So as far as our music, that song, man, if you Google House Party dance all over the world, you see weddings, people dancing to that song,
right.
Birthdays. When I saw it at a Jewish bar mitzvah with white people only, I was like, holy shit. And they're playing that song, and that song continues to live. Ain't My Type of Hype 33 years later. The song went gold because of House Party, so we have a lot to be thankful for. And I think that enhanced our music scenario, because it's tricky, because with House Party, when we do interviews, like when we did the Breakfast Club or when we're doing stuff like this, and I'm telling people that, yeah, we did the song Ain't My Type of Hype, people be surprised, especially the millennials. They're like, wait a minute, the Bullies actually, that's them singing that song, the Bullies? One person said, man, ain't that funny that Full Force played the Bullies and they're playing Ain't My Type of Hype in the party, and they won't let them come into their party and they're playing their music? Hilarious.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's very funny. Yeah.
Do you plan to do any more acting?
Well, I'm doing an independent film right now. It's called The Cafe. We're going to be shooting in Arizona, and it's being directed by a brother by the name of James Hinton. He's always wanted to work with me or work with us or whatever. And this is a serious role, so you're not going to see no kick your fucking ass. So it's a serious role. I play this detective solving some murders with a partner, and it should be kind of cool. But that's independent. So I restarted my acting scenario because after House Party was House Party 1, House Party 2, the Pajama Jammy Jam.
Yeah.
Then I did the movie Who's the Man with Dr. Dre and Ed Lover and Bernie Mac and Bill Bellamy, Ice-T, and I played a character named 40 Ounce, where I talk like this throughout the whole movie, almost like Kermit the Frog. And then I actually sing in the movie. If you go on YouTube, you'll see Who's the Man, Precious Lord, where Mary J. Blige was supposed to sing Precious Lord for the movie. and in the movie, and then I don't know what happened. I think some money conflict or whatever. And Bernie Mac, may he's rest in peace, Bill Bellamy and Ed Lover, they came running into my trailer. And they said, yo, Lou, man, listen. You know, I don't know about Mary J. Blige is doing a song in the funeral. So, you know, we figure, you know, and it was Bernie Mac and Bill Bellamy's idea. Yo, man, have Bowlegged Lou. He could sing, and he plays 40. My character was named 40 because I always walked around with a 40 ounce in the whole movie, Old English. And he said, let him sing it. And that's what I did. I said, sure. I went to the studio, me and Spanador from Cult Jam. He played the keyboard. And I laid it out, man, because on the premiere, when I sang that bad boy, because they were surprised to even see the character singing, and they gave me a nice ovation, after I finished, because I rocked it.
Oh, I love that. And for my last fan question, they wanted to know if there was an artist that you would love to work with that you haven't had the opportunity to work with.
I love Bruno Mars,
That'd be good. Yeah.
I think it'd be dope to ever work with him. He's just such a dope artist. And I love Lizzo too, because she could sing, she's got talent, So sure, I'd like to work with any one of those artists, really. I just want to mention one more thing. So everybody go to Hope with a Vision, make your donations. It could be $1, $2. We help a lot of people with impaired vision. And that's Hope with a VIZION.org. And I also support my beloved brother, Paul Anthony, and he has a cancer champion foundation also, Paul Anthony Foundation. My brother, when he was dealing with mantle cell lymphoma 10 years ago, when Paul was dealing with cancer, and he always stayed vigilant and positive about it, just like I'm positive with my eyes. And the only time the only time his armor cracked a little bit was when he told me, yeah, Lou, I just want to make sure I'm alive when my kids have kids. That was his thing, when his kids have kids. And his daughter has a beautiful baby daughter now.
Aww.
But this was 10 years ago when the doctor, when he was really fighting for his life, because his mantle cell leukemia his mantle cell lymphoma turned into leukemia. And that's when the doctor, because we was on our way to Florida to perform for Gabrielle Union's birthday party, which Dwayne Wade surprised her with Full Force, Dougie Fresh, and Will Smith made a surprise appearance as well, which was great. But Paul couldn't go. So I had Paul made a video message to Gabrielle where he sang on the video and everything like that. So it was just like he was there anyway. So it was great. But he couldn't go because of the cancer. His cells blew up, went crazy.
Yeah.
And then when I came back, the doctor said, okay, you're fine for your life. We got to do the transplant between you and Lou, because when Paul got the cancer, me and my brother B Fine, we took the test. And I remember B said, hey man, I think I'm going to be the match for Paul, because me and him look alike. And I said, B, I don't care, just as long as one of us is a match, but he ended up not being a match, and I was the match. And they had to ready me as he's in the hospital with his immune system going lower and lower. I had to take 2 needle shots for 2 weeks, every single day. Neupogen shots, they call it, to harvest your stem cells to prepare to donate for my brother. And I did that. And I remember before Paul went in and I was doing, he says, Lou, man, just do me a favor. Don't fucking get hit by a car and mess everything up, okay? And I said, Jesus
not funny,
Christ.
but it is.
I said, Jesus Christ. And you know what? I used to always mind myself. If I crossed the street, I'm like, please let nothing happen to me for the sake of my brother.
Yeah.
When it came down for the actual thing, the doctors, I had to sign some paperwork. And the paperwork stated that they're letting me know that something could happen to me with this process, with this transplant. Like, there could be a chance that you might get a ruptured spleen. You, Lou, can bleed to death. So they give me all the stuff that could happen to me. Then they said, all right, Lou, do you still want to go through with this? I said, of course I still want to go through with this. I would die for my family. I mean, who wouldn't want to go through with this? And then the doctor said, you'd be surprised, Lou. Like, wait. Are you trying to tell me there's like family members, and after you give them this scared speech, this scared straight speech, then they back out? Yep.
You could see
Wait a
it.
minute, they
Yeah.
backed out knowing that their sibling or family could just die? Yep. I'm like,
Wow.
wow. But anyway, there I am. They said, listen, if you don't give your brother needs 6 million stem cells.
Mm.
If you don't give him enough, we're going to take a catheter and draw it, try to draw it all out of your chest. Are you good with that? I said, sure, I'm good with anything.
Mm-hmm.
You need 6 million. So I got to tell you, man, I did the damn thing. And I became very egotistical because instead of giving my brother 6 million stem cells, I gave him 9 million stem cells.
Oh,
And
wow.
and it helped to save his life. I
Mm-hmm.
remember when the doctors told me, I say, "Are you kidding? I'm the man." I said, "So are you guys going to just take the 6 million for my brother and put 3 million in the freezer?" They said, "No, no, no. We're giving your brother all 9 million stem cells," and that helped to save my brother's life. So sometimes I call him Bowlegged Paul. So it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
You just have so many like your list of receipts and resumes so long. Like you're gonna have to come back so we can do like a part two.
Right. And then you can interview Paul whenever y'all want. I'll hook that up too.
Okay, sounds
Okay.
good. Well, thank you again, Bowlegged Lou, for joining me today on Check the Rhymes.
Shamika, I just want to say one thing.
Okay.
You are great at what you do. I saw a lot of your interviews already. You have a great personality. God bless you. You wear many hats. You're versatile. Definitely send me that link with the story you wrote on the caregiver as well. And
Okay.
I want to thank Will Downing for helping to name your show Check the
Yes.
Rhyme. And I want everybody out there that is looking for a dream, that have a great talent. It doesn't have to be music. It could be like, your doctor, law, whatever, anything that you want to succeed with in life. Always stay positive and never give up. No matter how many doors is closed in your face, you just knock them down and keep on going. Have that will to win. It took full force along, as far as we're concerned, it took us a while to make it, but we always knew we would be
Hmm.
successful. We just didn't know when.
Yeah.
We didn't know when, but we always knew. So everybody out there, stay positive, and may all the positive and optimistic things in life forever be yours.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.